One of the biggest mistakes that salespeople make today is that they get directly into the problem solving part of the equation. They let the prospect ask all the questions, and without doing enough exploration, they get straight into solving the problem that the prospect presented with, and that is often not the primary problem that is stopping the prospect in achieving their goals. Just like in medical science, whatever symptom the patient presents with is often not the real reason or not the real disease that you got to be solving. That's what they taught us in medical school. The second reason why people lose sales, or why you maybe losing sales, is that you're focusing too much on the strategy or the how to of solving the problem, which is the technical aspect of solving the problem. And usually prospects are very happy discussing about this, but at the end you will almost always get the objection that, hey, let me think more about this and come back to you, in which case you lost all the sales, especially if you're selling on the internet, because the attention span of the prospect is so small that they're almost never going to come back to you. And the third biggest mistake that people are making, which you also may be making, is in the especially when it comes to selling online. If you're selling your service online, if you're selling a course online, if you're doing some coaching online, or if you're doing freelancer services or something like that online, is that if you provide more service to the prospect, they're more likely to buy from you, and that is the biggest mistake. That is absolutely not going to happen. In fact, the more freebie or the more free taste of your product or service you're going to give to the prospect, the worse your equation is going to get in that particular frame or in that particular relationship, where the prospect is going to ask more and more free stuff from you as the time goes by, and either you're not going to end up with enough sales, or worst case scenario, you'll make the sales but you'll lose money on the deal. My name is Dr. Rajat Sinha. I'm a medical doctor turned sales strategist, and in this video I want to help you understand what are the three stages of making a sale, and if you are able to master these three stages, you could get from 20 to 40% closing rates, depending on the qualification level of your prospects that are coming in through your online funnels, or even if you're doing handshake sales on the field. All right. Just to go quickly into my story, I was still doing my medical degree when I got into selling health products on commission as a way of making extra pocket money, and that is where I got almost all of my sales training. After getting my medical degree and working for hospital, I chose to go full time into sales. And till today, I haven't done an MBA or anything like that. However, I've done tactical sales on the field, online. In fact, I've been part of a performance marketing company where we were able to build and sell this company and get hundreds of crores of rupees of foreign exchange and taxes into India. So that was a Silicon Valley give. So whatever I'm speaking to you about today has been battle tested for over 15, 16 years across three different countries, doing tactical sales, which is handshake sales on the field, as well as doing online sales. All right. There are three different stages in which you handle the sales call, and the strategy is probably the least important of them. So I'm just going to open up point number three over here, and the strategies, which is the actual how to of how you make the sale, is probably the least important part of the equation, and you should not be talking more than probably 5 to 8% of your sales call or your sales conversation on the actual strategies. On top of that, a lot of people, what the mistake that they are making is they are unable to qualify the prospect as per their awareness level. There are four types of prospects that you have, and as per their awareness level, they could be problem unaware, they could be problem aware, solution unaware, they could be solution aware, they could be competition aware. So there are four awareness levels of prospects based on which it determines how much time you're going to spend on this defining or outlining the actual solution to them. And if you don't understand that part, then as it is discussing about the solution or discussing about the strategies or the how to's of how your product or solution works and how it's going to solve the prospect's problem should anyway become irrelevant. But at the max, even if you have a problem unaware prospect, which is probably the lowest closing rate you're probably going to have unless you have solid branding in the market, even at that point, talking about the strategy should not account for more than probably 10% of the actual sales call. All right. So strategies are a byproduct, and you should almost never start with discussing strategies. In fact, many of the sales calls you can actually finish without discussing strategy at all. Even if you have zero branding in the market, even if you've just started your business, and even if you just run an online funnel, nobody knows about people are meeting you as a stranger on the internet. Even then, probably you should never almost never talk about the strategies unless you have an understanding of where the prospect is coming from, what is their awareness level. All right. Now, let's get into what is the journey of the prospect and why is it that people look for solutions, and why is it they actually take the effort to come and meet with you. Either it could be online or it could be offline. All right. A prospect who has seen your advertisement or come to know about you and actually takes the trip, whether it is an offline trip that they get into their vehicle and they come to see you, or they take an online trip where they actually take the time apart from the calendar. They sit down on a desk, open up their computer, get on a Zoom call with you to attend your sales meet or your sales webinar, is a highly qualified prospect, because hardly anybody ever today is going to take the effort to solve their problem, especially where there is so much YouTube and so much clicking around on the internet happening that the attention span is at an all-time low. Okay, which brings us to stage number two, that the reason that in spite of having all of the information on YouTube today, people are not able to, or your prospects are not able to get the results, is probably because they have a difficulty or a roadblock or a little blockage in understanding any one of the concepts that may be keeping them from achieving the results. All right, and we usually call this the vehicle. What is the vehicle? They probably don't really understand how the basics of, whether it's a make money problem, or how the basics of health or weight loss or something like that, or what the basics, how do the basics of a relationship management, something to do with their spouse relationship, something to do with their parenting skills, or whatever it is, whether it's their relationships or their health or the money, there is somewhere that their understanding is lacking. Okay, otherwise they would probably already have the results, considering that resources and information is not really a limitation in today's world. So there is some way that their understanding is stuck somewhere where you can help them get some clarity. Now we call this the story. Okay, let me just quickly show you. So this is stage two, which is called the story. And just to quote Tony Robbins, the only reason that you're not achieving the goals that you think you should achieve is the story you're telling yourself constantly as to why you can't achieve it. That means somewhere in the prospect's understanding there is a story involved where they are telling themselves something, or they're not aware of something, or they have certain routines, certain rituals, certain way of operating their health life, their relationship life, or their money life in a way that they're not getting the results. And that's where you can help them unclog probably a little stopcock, which will help the fluids to flow better. Okay, so we call this the story issue. Now, if you're a newbie and you don't have a whole lot of sales experience, if you're just starting out, like I was starting out when I was still in medical college, what you can do is that you can get straight into the game and quickly ask them. If they come to you with a problem, you say, okay, what is the problem that you came to me with? And they will say, etc., I saw your ad or something like that, and this is the problem I have. And then you can just directly ask them, okay, so where is it that you're stuck? Okay, you can just quickly point blank ask them, where is it you're stuck? It's not a very smooth finesse question, but if you're just starting out in sales, the simplest way to ask them is, as soon as they tell you the problem, you say, okay, where is it that you're stuck, or what is stopping you from getting the results? Okay, now it's a little obtuse way of asking questions, especially if you've not earned the right and built that rapport. However, if you're a brand new guy, it really helps. If you're an experienced guy, and especially if you set the context in the call and you can build that rapport and relationship building, you're good with all of those skills, then what you should do, and what I usually do, is somebody comes to me and says, I have a money problem, I'm not making enough money, or I don't have enough financial freedom, or whatever it is. I usually say, okay, great. I first build the rapport. Hey, where are you from? What is the problem? Okay, love it that you've been on this journey from Jabalpur. That's a beautiful city. Just give them a couple of compliments. Just introduce yourself. Hey, man, my background is I'm a medical doctor turned financial expert or make money expert, etc. And after that, I go straight into the game. Okay, let's do this. Why don't you start from the beginning? Okay, that's what I do, and that works for me very well. I just lean back and I say, tell me from the beginning when it started. Now, here's the thing. When people start on a health journey, or people start having a problem in their relationships, or people start having a problem with their money supply or something like that, usually by the time they come to you, the problem that they're presenting has been convoluted by other contributing factors and things like that. Okay, it's never a pure problem that they'll be presenting to you. They may not know it, but usually whatever the presenting symptom is not going to help you solve that problem. That's why I want to get the whole story starting from, when did you realize you want to make more money? Why do you want to make more money? How long have you been on the journey of finding a solution? Who else have you worked with? Who else is taking decisions? Who else is your spouse helping you with these decisions, etc., etc.? Because whether it's a money decision or a health decision or a family decision, relationships decision, usually there are other contributing factors. So when I say, let's start from the beginning, when does it start? When did you first realize you need more money? Why do you need more money? Or things like that. It really helps me to get deeper into what is the story they're telling themselves in the head, what is the picture in their mind. Very, very important. Unless you understand the picture in their mind, or what is the story that they're telling themselves, you will not be able to change important things that they consider to be gospel truth, but you probably may be able to change it. Okay, just to give you a quick story about how I got interested in doing business and in the make money aspect of things. Even when I was actually studying to be a medical doctor, I just got this idea that, hey man, there's a way to make extra money and pocket money. And back when I was studying in Pune, it was a small town. There was not a whole lot of, there were no smartphones or anything like that. There was no call center boom or anything like that. If you wanted to make a little bit of extra pocket money, there were only two options. Actually, there was only one option. You go and do a part-time job sitting at a cyber cafe or something, like an admin or something like that. Okay. And since I was totally computer illiterate, that was out of the question. And I also didn't want to be sitting at a cyber cafe in order to be making extra pocket money. So somebody said, well, you can actually do business. And if you do business, the how much money you can make is like unlimited. And that's how I came to meet my very first mentor. Okay. Now, the very first question he asked me is, why do you want to make money? And I said, I want to make some pocket money. And he knew that this is not the right reason for you to be getting into business. If you want to make some money, if you want to make X, Y, and Z money to solve a problem, that's not the real reason to be getting into business. He understood that, because if that is the reason that you want to get into business, business is going to throw you around, and you're going to get knocked around a bit, and your resolve is going to be tested. So if your reasons are not deep enough, then you're not going to survive in business. Very simple. Regardless of how much of a part-time business it is, how much easy it is to do that business, whether it's networking, financial product selling, or whatever it is, seems very simple, but a business is a business. So he understood that, and he said, okay, great. What is it that you understand about business? And I said, well, I don't know. I don't even know what business is. I just know that, business people make a lot of money. He said, okay, that's fine. And he said, you know why business people make a lot of money? I said, no. And then my mentor said, well, you're studying to be a medical doctor. What happens when you pass out? You get a graduation MBBS degree. What happens? I said, I don't know. I work for a few years, then I go for a specialization. He says, why would you go for a specialization? I said, then you become a better doctor. You become specialized. He's like, okay, and what other reason is there? I said, I don't know, man. I was like 18, 19 years old at that time. I was like, I don't know. That's how the industry works. He's like, great. Let me ask you, is it because the hourly rate of a specialist is more than that of a graduate doctor? I said, yes, yeah, the hourly rate of a graduate, of a postgraduate doctor is higher than a graduate doctor. He says, great. What happens after that? I said, well, then I probably do a few years of that. Then I go for a super specialization. I was even more specialized than a specialist. He's like, and their hourly rate is higher than that of a specialist, I guess. I said, yeah, well, yeah. He's like, great. So your hourly rate. So you're working in an industry which focuses a huge amount on the hourly rate that you can garner by getting more and more degrees, by getting more and more specialized. And if you can do some very, very complicated surgeries like cancer surgeries or heart surgeries or something like that, then your hourly rate is going to be pretty high. I said, yes. Great. Well, in business, you don't really increase your hourly rate, but you can increase the number of hours by involving other people into your business. And I was like, okay, well, the reason, Tatas are so rich is because they have more than 30,000 employees, and all of these employees are putting more time into the Tata's business. That is why Tatas have a big business. Now, how many people can you involve in your business? How many people can the Tatas involve in their business? I said, I don't know, maybe unlimited, depends on how much funding they have. And he said, yes. So that is why the business owner has unlimited income. Does that sort of interest you? I said, yes. If I can get away from qualifying myself again and again, getting more and more degrees, and just staying in the right rat race, if I can get other people to put their hours in my business, I'd be very, very interested. And he said, yes. And that way you don't need to be the smartest person in the room, but you can have other people who can be smarter than you. You can be working together, and everybody grows. I was like, okay, I like that concept. Okay. So that was the first concept that he changed in my story, which is, you don't do business just because you want to make pocket money and you're not finding a job or something like that. The whole concept of business is very, very different from what job people think. Job people want to get qualified and get more and more senior in an organization. They want to become a vice president or a director. In the case of medical doctors, they want to become a specialist, super specialist, etc. But business is totally different. Business is all about cooperating with other people, getting other people involved in your mission. You got to build your skills of building influence, how to get people to do what you want. That's an influence building skill. Would you like to learn that? And I'm like, yeah, can you teach me that? He's like, yeah, I can teach you that. But you'll have to learn how to build influence. You'll have to learn how to sell, because everything to do with influence has to do with selling. So I said, okay, I don't mind learning. So he got my story right before he got the strategies. He taught me about the strategies of what is the business plan and what kind of company we are working with, etc., etc. How does commission selling work, etc. Otherwise, if he had not got my buy-in to the story that I have in my head, I would never have understood the context of what I am doing And of course, when you get people's story right, you will also come to know about which prospects are not the right prospects for you. So automatically, without wasting your time and your emotional energy in getting involved with those prospects, you can reject the prospect even before the prospect rejects you. And that doesn't increase your closing rate, but that saves emotional energy. And surviving in business is all about conserving emotional energy. Yes or yes? Please let me know in the comments box. Okay, so that is stage number two. That is the story. Very, very important. And after that, in fact, before that comes the first important stage. And the first important stage is the state of the prospect. What is the state? Are they in an open minded state? Yes or no? Are they in an open minded state? Yes or no? Briefly put, that's another thing my mentor taught me is that the brain, your mind is like a parachute. The more open it is, the better it's going to work. So I'm going to be sharing with you some game changing ideas, but you will be able to imbibe them and stick with them and make them happen for you only if you are not only open minded today, you're open minded over the long term. Okay, so you want a prospect who's open minded to understanding where they are going wrong in their understanding. So you want a person to be open minded before you can open their locks for them, because people are stuck in their health journey, in their money journey, in their love journey, because there is somewhere that they're believing something where the belief has got to be changed. And you can't change a belief, you can't change their story unless they're open minded. Now, when you talk about an open minded state, remember that an open minded state is always a high energy state. High energy state. Okay. So unless you have a person in a good high vibration, if they're stuck inside the problem, if they're stuck inside that frustration that a lot of people have, they're not getting the result. They've tried a couple of things and it didn't work for them. They don't trust you. They don't trust the previous guy. They hate themselves. They hate everything about this journey that they're stuck in. If they're in that kind of state, you will not be able to change the story. And any strategy you teach them, tell them, or try to get their buy in is not going to work. Okay. So, how do you open people's state? Is something called earning the right. Okay, earning the right, ETR. If you can earn the right, if you can earn their trust in the first few minutes of a sales call, then you can start to work on the story. Okay, so the state and the story are the two most important things during a sales call that you should be focused on, because the strategies are not going to help you close more, regardless of how cool your strategies are. All right. Plus, there is so much of distributed information on the internet that prospects can't make head or tail of any strategy, regardless of how much clarity you have in your mind. When you start speaking, you're speaking only in words. And you're speaking from a state of high energy. You know that you can provide the solution. You can see the problem clearly. You can see the solution clearly, but they can't see it. And using words and logic and strategies is not going to help, because strategies and words and verbiage and logic is only 7% of the part of an interaction that you do with a human being. Okay, even if you're doing it on Zoom, they can see you, they can see your energy, they can see your body language, they can hear you. So when you come to voice tone, body language, state becomes very, very important. So the way to improve your conversion rates, first of all, is always at least you be in a high energy state when you open a sales call. It needs to be high energy. You need to show the love. You need to show that, hey man, I'm an authority, and the way you show your authority is by open body language, loud volume, excitement on the call. Okay, even when you're meeting in person, when you welcome a person who has come to meet you, the welcome should show that you have the gratitude that they took that trip to come and meet you. Even when somebody came to meet you online, hey man, super happy to meet you, thank you so much for booking this meeting with me, I'm super excited to be helping you on the journey. Okay, then when you transition into the story, you can earn the right by telling your story. Hey, let me just tell you in a couple of minutes why why I'm into this business. I'm a medical doctor turned sales expert, and the reason I got into sales is, man, when I first got into part-time business, so many people told me that this is such a loser thing you're doing. A medical doctor is such a hot shot, and salespeople are like losers. They're all running after money, or they're running after prospects, or they're doing all these follow-ups. That is such a shameful profession to be in. And then later, when I realized that is the profession that creates the maximum amount of millionaires, billionaires, and in that is the profession which creates all the richest people in the world, who are able to not only create riches for themselves but also for other people around them. The real people who are creating prosperity on this planet are the salespeople. I started wondering, why is it that salespeople are so looked down upon, at least in the culture where I came from, or at least in the medical industry where I came from. And that got me very, very curious. And since then, I've been on this 18, 19-year-old journey. I've become a sales expert myself. And I want to make sure that salespeople are the number one, sales profession is the number one most sought after profession for any school student, college student, or any child growing up. I'm going to make that happen in my lifetime. So when I say that as my introduction in a sales call, or when I'm talking about my sales program, sales coaching program, or something like that, people connect with that. Okay, not because I'm a big expert, because I have given up more things and my mission is very, very strong. This is a 2-minute story that helps me just create that connection. And then I say, okay, why don't you start with your story? When did this thing happen first? What happened after that? Who else did you work with? Why do you feel disappointed, etc., etc.? Okay, so state comes first, story comes second. You're 85% into the call. You're going to give them just one clarity, one point of clarity. That's it. That's more than enough. And we call this in sales, we call this a vehicle. All right. When my upline or my mentor was teaching me or qualifying me to be his business partner, he said, would you like to, you come from a very different culture, which is all about improving your qualifications, increasing your hourly rate. Would you like to think sideways about how to get more people involved in your business, which is a game of influence? You'll have to learn that, because in your current job, you don't need the influence. Once you have a degree, you already have the influence. But in sales and marketing, in business building, you need to build those skills so that you can build that influence. Are you willing to learn that? I said yes. So that was a little stopcock in my brain that he opened that day. And then every time I would fail in sales or I would fail in business, I would remember to myself that maybe haven't learned how to build influence enough. And this is the one thing that lies between me, millions of dollars, billions of dollars, or whatever it is. Okay. 10 years later, I was able to work with a performance marketing company, which we ended up selling in Silicon Valley and brought hundreds of crores of rupees of foreign exchange and taxes to India. I would never have assumed, sitting in my time in medical college, that I would be part of such a big story and I would make such a big contribution to the economy of the country. Never have believed that. And the reason I was able to stick in spite of many failures for many years was that every time a prospect said no to me or something happened, I would remember these words, that the reason you're failing is because somewhere you're lacking or you need to learn a little bit more about how to build influence. All right. So I hope this video is good for you, because in this video also I've taught you how to build influence in that short 20-minute sales call. And these are the different stages you follow. And if this interests you, please definitely like and share this video. Please follow me on this channel. And I look forward to serving you in the next video. Bye-bye.